Welcome to episode 193 of G.I. Joeberg. This is Robert, and you are joined by
Steve and Paul.
Whoa! It's all three of us. Welcome everybody to episode 193. We're talking a whole lot of Snake Eyes.
A whole lot of Snake Eyes. And joining us in our audience today is a whole bunch of Bergforce members. So I just want to do a small shout out. MC DJ ACDC is here with us in the house. Gaz is here. Ironmonger is here with us. And and those are our live audience guests. So how's it, guys? And cool. So
Crickets. The audience is mute. Hello, boys. I think I'm going to call it. It's a good time to be a G.I. Joe fan again.
Heck yeah.
With a movie on the horizon, and we've got a release date. That's the big tentpole new shit item up front. Release date for Snake Eyes is the 23rd of July. That's around the corner, boys. Literally around the corner.
Is it? Because I saw even more new news that it actually Paramount had pushed back a couple of their movies. And one of them is Snake Eyes. It was originally meant to come out 23rd of July, but it was pushed back to October 22nd.
No, I read it the other way around.
Rob, you're pissing on my batteries, man. Damn.
Actually, no, but I read that the other way around. I read that it was supposed to be coming out in October, and that it's now actually coming out in July.
Yeah.
All right, then maybe
check the date on that article, because this announcement of 23rd of July happened on it was Friday. It was the Hasbro Pulse event
on the 9th.
And yes.
Maybe I read it the wrong way around.
And I believe Snake Eyes is one of the very few films to actually be brought forward. So reason again to celebrate, boys. They're anxious. They're like, let's get this up.
I see. I misread. Sorry, guys. I misread.
That's Rob just testing you.
Look. The jury's still out. There are still months between now and July for them to push it back out again. COVID. If COVID has taught us anything, it's that don't rely on any release dates, because it's gonna change. So yeah, we're excited now. It might turn to dismay later.
Well,
and how crazy!
I'm actually quite excited now. I'm quite happy.
I'm also quite excited, and I'm also really amped by the fact that I went for dinner on Friday night, and I walked past the cinema in one of the malls that I'm close to, and they had the poster up for Mortal Kombat. So I was like, "Oh, cool! The Mortal Kombat movie's coming out." And I looked closer, and I was like, "No, it's actually showing. The new Mortal Kombat is showing." I don't know.
It's out already. Nice.
It's
in
out.
cinemas.
Yeah, but it seems to only be in New Metro. So
I'll accept. I mean, are they going to institute social distancing at the cinema?
Yeah, they already have. They now have opened the 8:00 evening movie slot, and they only allow I think it's 100 people in a kidney at a time. So
okay, the last film I went to was Chris Nolan's Tenet, and I was absolutely elated to go back to the cinema. And when you book your tickets online, when you book a ticket or a pair of tickets, if there's a couple of you, immediately the surrounding seats then get blocked out.
Yeah.
So I rock up thinking, yes, sweet, no one's going to be in my vicinity. That's great. I mean, even in a non-pandemic scenario, that's fantastic to not have people breathing right on you and pissing you off. And sitting there, guess what? People plunk themselves down on either side of me anyway. Complete disregard to the seating arrangement. Yeah, that pissed me off something awful. And the whole time I was thinking, because this was early days in the pandemic, I was like, okay, if one of these guys is sick, and then I take it back to my house with Dr. Kim, and then she takes it to the bloody hospital, that's on me, man. That's me and my movie-watching villainy. I should have been a conscientious citizen and gotten up and left the cinema, right? But
no, you should have just made a fake cough.
Well, doesn't the joke go that we used to cough to hide our farts? now we fought to mask our coughs. But true story. Guys, we are going to talk obviously the new toys, but since we are stuck on this movie topic, why don't we open up with a quick fire round? I want to know, because we all miss the cinematic experience and we're dying for cinemas to go back into full swing. I was wondering what everyone's best cinematic experience story is. But by the same token, I'd like to know what everyone's worst cinematic experience is. Can you remember, boys? Drum up some old tales for me. Paul, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to start off with a bad one, just because it's the first one that comes to mind. Well, and I haven't had like that many poor cinema experiences per se. But yeah, this one was pretty bad, and I think it has a lot to do with the movie. And I'll preface it with this. When I used to work at Anime Works, and before that, when we were still in the flea market before we had started Anime Works, our little group of friends, our motley little group of friends, used to have this tradition that every Friday we would go and watch movies, at the waterfront. So much so that the people that worked at the cinema actually recognized us, and more often than not, we got serious discounts on our tickets and things like that because they knew that we were tenants and all that. Anyway, but we used to be like this mass of people. Like it wasn't like 5 or 6. It was sometimes like 15 people, like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes even 20 of us. That like we were like a real gang. Okay, we would like mass, crowd in on these cinemas. And go watch a movie, and we would always be like current. And the movie in this occasion was Pokemon, the movie. Oh my word, it's the biggest lot of shit. Just want to put that out there. But it was so funny because it was like 15 of us. We went to go and watch Pokemon, the movie. We all got a special promo Mewtwo card or Mew card or whatever, Pokemon card, and we went in. And it was literally 15 of us. And the whole cinema was actually mostly empty, with the exception of a few, like, I would say, quite diehard folks whose kids were into Pokemon. They had to watch it on opening night. So they're like 2 or 3 families, and you can imagine this is a gang of us. So we're like watching this thing. And it starts off, and we're all like, okay, it's Pokemon. But then it has these intermissions, and the intermission would be like, Magnemite. And it would be like all this like major Pokemon indoctrination, brainwashing crap that happens in between different parts in the film. Anyway, I think it was Matthew or somebody just started churning, and then it kind of sounds like a good experience, but my word, it was like laborious. And we also have this rule: you cannot walk out of a movie. You have to watch the whole thing to the end. We ended up like watching this piece of shit film the whole way through. We were completely broken. We were making jokes. I think we ruined the whole cinema experience for everybody else. We all felt really, really bad about it. And and we walked out of that.
You were those guys. Bloody hell.
For that movie, yes, we were those guys. Because we were just so unbelievably bored and gross. Yeah, that's why it's like a really bad experience. It was like a crap one. And then the other one is like, it'll be quick. There's this horror movie called Mirrors, not the same one that Andrew was recommending. So... And I remember I was like watching it.
Yes, for anyone wondering, MC DJ ACDC immediately weighed in with his best cinematic experience being the 1986 Transformers The Movie. To which I say, brutal, man. That's a high body count of Transformers. But still, to date, the best Transformers movie of all time.
Agreed. Anyway, so I just remember watching this film as well, and have you guys ever fallen asleep in a movie before? Because I fell asleep during this thing. I don't even know what happened. I feel so cheated. We were also, a whole bunch of us went to go and watch this, and like most of us didn't even know what happened because we were so tired and stuff from work, and this movie was so bad. But I mean, that was like, I would say, the worst experience. I haven't had anything like terrible. I've had one situation where the power went out, but that was about it. That's like bad experiences. Yeah. Those are bad experiences. We'll get around to good experiences. I figured let you guys talk for a bit.
Take it away, Robbie. What do you want? Bad, good, indifferent?
I'll do bad as well. We'll go from bad to good. I don't remember what movie it was, but like, yeah, cinema going is a funny experience, depending on when you go. Yeah, I don't know what movie it was, but there was just so many disruptive people, and it's not just like people talking or like eating loud. This time I think at least 2 people answered their cell phones in the cinema, and there was one
the
person...
same screening that Paul was at by any chance. Was he public enemy
Paul.
number 1?
It was Paul.
Before you knew it.
But also, someone was literally playing music on their cell phone. They were sitting
Oh my word! I'll
somewhere in the
catch that
cinema, just playing music on their cell phone. Oh my god, it was
What did you
horrendous. I really can't remember. It was probably a Nolan movie. I'm guessing.
What? Some high concept Chris Nolan film, and you watching it with these mouth breathers who are like playing music.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you are kind of, you know, not perhaps in the mood for a very intellectual film, yeah. Why don't you just do everyone a favor and leave, please?
It would be so much easier. I still don't understand cinema going. Why some people go to the cinema not to watch the movie.
Okay, well, talking and disruption in a film seem to be both of yours bad experiences, but for opposing sides of the fence. For Paul, he was that guy. For Rob, they were interrupting your Interstellar viewing. But for me, it's actually got to do with the film itself. To this day, I cannot get on board with the unmitigated praise that Into the Spider-Verse receives, because I couldn't enjoy my cinematic experience of it. Reason being, the animation style we all know has kind of janky elements, like I'm blanking on the name. Shit, Miles Morales. Miles Morales' Spider-Man has a lower frame rate than the old washed up Peter Parker Spider-Man, who's far smoother. That is an animation choice. There are a lot of interesting, quirky animation choices that perhaps a more dogmatic cinema viewer like myself wasn't hip to going in. And one of them was the fact that foreground elements and background elements were kind of separating. Like you had these kind of two overlays of like buildings. Like one building the image would be split to make the background. And then in the foreground, like if there was a character's head kind of occupying the foreground, that would also have a kind of split to it. And when I was seeing this for the first time, I was like, oh shit. This is like watching a movie without your 3D glasses on, and it's a 3D film. So everything's kind of there's split images for everything. And I thought to myself, well, someone screwed up, clearly. Clearly, this is supposed to be a 3D screening of this film, and it was sold as a 2D screening, and I don't have my glasses, and now the whole thing is ruined. I got up out of the cinema and went outside to find the manager to tell them, listen, I think you've screwed up the projection of this particular screening of Into the Spider-Verse. She assured me, no, well, I'll check with the projectionist, but I think it's right, so why don't you take your seat? Went back, nothing changed. In fact, it seemed to get more egregious as we got further on into the film and into the action sequences and swinging through New York kind of sequences. And I got up a second time and said, listen, this is unacceptable, man. I want a refund. I want to see this movie properly, and now it's been spoiled for me. And you know what kind, Mebru? What kind? Please. I was further assured, and then assured a third time after the film when I approached them again, and I was like, "What's going on?" And they said, "Well, write to head office and let them know, and maybe they'll hook you up with some free tickets." I think I stopped short of actually doing that because I immediately hit Google and tried to research what's up with Into the Spider-Verse. Why does it look so janky? And it was like, yeah, it's a choice. So that whole time, I immediately felt very stupid. But also, if I was caught out by this, and I'm, just like everyone else nowadays, kind of acclimatized to what a 3D screening looks like without the glasses, who else around the world shares my story? I'm sure I can't be the only one. Maybe they didn't go so far as to like interrupt their cinema viewing 3 times to kind of tell people, hey, what's going on with the screening? But for me, that is why I need to watch it again, because I know that there's a good film lurking under there, but I was in such a foul mood that I wasn't open to that.
So, yeah, I think when a movie, when a director or a movie maker decides on something that's not conventional, it can be very weird and jarring. and you think it's a mistake with the cinema. I think often complaints that people have with Christopher Nolan films is the mixing of the sound. Often you can't hear what characters are saying, and you think, "Oh, okay, it must be the it must be the cinema." But it's actually a choice on the director's part to play down the dialogue in certain scenes because it's not as important as the music or the emotion of the scene. You're not really meant to actually hear what the characters are saying, or when a filmmaker decides to shoot a movie at a much higher frame rate.
Oh my word, that's jarring.
Like I went to see The Hobbit, I think the second movie, and he'd filmed it in, I don't know, 860 frames per second, and it was projected like that. That was also a very bad experience for me because everything
for anyone uninitiated.
Too real.
Oh yeah, so that's the effect of upping the frame rate. Is it almost looks documentary?
It didn't look like a movie anymore. It looked too real, and the effects didn't look right. So that's probably another...
the magical frame rate of 24 frames per second is the cinematic standard. It's what we're acclimatized to. Anything else feels like another medium, like documentary filmmaking.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right. So I think when filmmakers do try different things, it can be very jarring for audience members and can create bad cinema experiences. But
if I can... Oh, sorry, man. Yeah.
No, go for it.
No, I was going to say, if I can put Steven at ease a little, what are the art directors?
The film is actually shit. Everyone else is wrong. I didn't miss out on anything good. Yeah. Nothing was ruined for me. It's a terrible movie. Thank you, Paul. Goodbye.
No, that's not what I was going to say. But I thought you might appreciate this little tidbit. I work with when I work on animation stuff, I work under an art director. And at the same time, he's also the animation supervisor. That's actually what he does. He's the animation supervisor, and then also does the art direction for certain things if certain people in the pipeline are overflowing or whatever, it's because of work. But he also, for as much as he loves the concept art of Into the Spider-Verse and the general story and all that stuff, he also has a major issue with it. He has the same issue with it that you have. And as an animation director, it freaks him out even more. He's OCD about frame rates and animating on 1s and 2s and, on 3s and on 7s and all those kind of things. And what happens into the Spider-Verse is, like you said, foreground elements are actually working on different animation timing to Miles Morales. And then he's also working to different animation timing as Spider-Man. And so it's very, very jarring. And and I can appreciate the artistic sort of choice there, and he can also sort of appreciate it, but he's like, it's just really difficult for him to watch. It was really, really difficult for him he had the exact same issue as you. He actually thought something was maybe wrong because maybe he had...
Paul, I want to get past this, but I guess the takeaway is I got a glimpse at what it feels like to be old, to be a has-been. Be like, you kids, I just don't understand video games and music anymore.
Yeah, but
because it just wasn't for me, man. It put me off completely. But let's move on to something positive, because we've dwelt on this for quite a while. I think I might have to include time codes for this episode, because if anyone is listening to this wanting to know about Snake Eyes movie stuff, well, don't worry, your time is coming.
But the quick fire topic became a long fire topic.
To this day, Rob, Elle, and I still laugh about the fact that Elle was sitting in between Rob and I watching whatever, and he had a big, big, big jug of popcorn. I had refrained from buying popcorn for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe I was kind of like in my purist phase of like, no. I'm not going to interrupt my cinematic experience with drinks and crunchy food.
Oh my God.
Alistair leans over and says, "Hey, you want some of my popcorn?" But he leans a little bit too far. And he's doing like kind of a hands-free maneuver because he's like a casual guy. And the whole bucket avalanches onto my lap. Whoosh! Popcorn deluge on my lap, on the floor, everywhere. So yeah, hey, you want some of my popcorn? Whoosh! Thanks, Elle. I think I actually like got up very gingerly to try and shake most of it off my shirt. I kind of made a shirt tent or shirt, whatever, trampoline. Bassinet, thank you, a catchment, and poured it back into this bucket, which now was not overflowing.
what a
Anyways,
clown.
how about you guys?
Well, yeah. Let me get onto mine because they're quite short and they're quite sweet. The first one is.
But there are multiples, so you make up for it. Don't worry, Paul.
Yeah, thank you. Steve, this one actually involved you. We went to go and watch.
But of
I
course,
think
every
it was.
cinematic experience with me is a good one, unless it's Spider-Man.
There you go. Yeah, I think we were watching. I think it was Jesus Christ Superstar that you were in, and after that,
That's not a movie.
no,
at least
that's
not anymore.
that was a stage play, a major musical production that Stephen Jobber was in. But no, afterwards, you had this like crazy idea, like, oh, let's go watch X-Men First Class,
It
and
was your idea, fool.
wasn't my idea. Oh, well, somebody's. I mean, it was a good idea. So I mean, maybe
I
it
didn't
was my
even
idea.
know there was an X-Men movie out. What a pleasant surprise.
And then we just went and watched X-Men First Class in the cinema, and it was great. It was just like, it was you, Mish, and myself at that time, and we just went to go watch it, and it was like completely unexpected. We didn't know what to expect, and we just came out of that film, and we thoroughly loved it, and it was so great, and it's just such a cool impromptu film going experience. Like that was great. So that was one of them. Then the other one was, like. It sounds odd, but Inception. When I went to go watch Inception, I had like I mean I was with Francois and a bunch of friends. We went like this big gang of people or whatever watching this movie. But my God, that movie just like hit me in the right place. It was just everything about it was just so beautiful for me. The soundtrack, I was super amped about seeing it, and it was awesome. And I had long had this concept of like that's actually why I called my business Dream Running. I had this long concept of this like dream running kind of thing, and I don't want to get into it here. But anyway, I come out of the cinema with Francois, and he looks at me and he goes, "Oh my God, dude, they stole your movie." And that's like that was such a cool thing to hear from like somebody else. You know, like when you've spoken about like ideas and stuff. And I actually walked out, and after that I was like, that's why I think I enjoyed it so much, because I really related and resonated with a lot of the stuff that was in there, and it was really, really fantastic.
On the topic of dreams, I want it on record so that I can remember this later, because I always forget my dreams. My waking dream this morning was like the dying hours of some kind of toy convention, not specifically G.I. Joe, but they were selling probably mainly Transformers, to be honest, because I think it was in the Far East, and Transformers is huge in China and Korea and Taiwan and the like. But I found in the dying moments like bags of loose Joes, mainly 90s stuff, mainly stuff that I'm not particularly keen on buying. But then at the bottom were like 5 Steel Brigade figures. What?
Oh my word, I love those dreams. And then you wake up.
The guy did not know the value of what he had, so I was snapping them up for peanuts. Anyways, what a great dream to have. I seldom dream like on topic. I seldom dream G.I. Joe shit. But this morning was an exception. Robbie?
And quickly, and I've got the last little one, and then I'm going to hand it over to Robbie. It's just about to go to Rob. So in Westgate, which is in the Roodepoort area, and that's a very interesting area around us. I went to go and watch. It's not really. It's kind of an interesting mix. There's lots of money there, but then there's also a lot of, dodginess there as well.
True story. Hilariously, I lived in Roodepoort the first time I moved to Johannesburg. I saw the rough side of it, but like get to Australia and this chick who says, "Oh, we had such a posh lifestyle in South Africa when we were there before we immigrated to Australia," and I asked her like, "Where did you stay?" Roodepoort. I laughed and laughed and laughed. But yeah, I suppose there are big properties there as well.
So there's also this bunch of friends and I, and we were in high school at the time, and it was Saturday. We went to go watch a movie on Saturday during the day, and the movie in question was Blade. And now we're inside Roodepoort now. Okay. So now we're going to get a bit South African now. So we're inside and we're watching Blade, and it's like, kicks ass. It's that first opening scene. Roodepoort, just so everybody knows, is the area where everybody decides that their car has to have 2 things: holes in the muffler, okay, and loud music. Like you can see the speakers in the back of the window. So you generally know you're in Ridderput when you hear two things. And okay. So anyway, so this is going on and everything. And then, Blade does that thing. He throws that like blade chakram thing around the room and he
Glaive.
cuts people's... That glaive, thank you. Yeah, it's what did I call it? Anyway, yeah, he throws around that glaive and it goes around and it cuts everybody's head and then he catches it. And you know what happens when he catches it? And like with the whole sunglasses thing and everything, everybody in that cinema got up and applauded.
Yes! I love that. I can't think of specific instances now, but like there have been. Oh yes, I remember when the Batmobile dies in Dark Knight, and when the Batpod emerges, the audience erupted. They're like, "Yo!" Amazing.
It is, and I'll always remember Blade for that because it's just. Yeah, it's like all these people were just like, yo, and they got up and they were clapping their hands, and the Blade's like, caught his glaive or sunglasses or whatever the hell. It's like,
all right.
Anyway, Robbie.
Share the mic to Rob, otherwise he's going to leave again. Rob, take it away.
Okay, probably one of my favorite cinema experiences was also Inception. I didn't know Inception had released. I didn't know anything about Inception. I didn't know the first thing, anything about it. I saw it. I was completely blown away. And I immediately bought another ticket and I went in the second time. That's how good that movie was for me. I was just like, wow.
Likewise, dude.
But I knew nothing. I didn't see any trailers. I didn't even know. I just saw, oh, cool, Chris Nolan. I remember him from, Batman Begins. Freaking awesome. And the Dark Knight, I think probably Dark Knight had come out by then. And then I think he took a break and he did Inception. But anyway, whatever it was, I was just completely
I don't think that
away.
man ever takes breaks, to be honest.
Yeah. But, I think he's always coming up with something. So yeah, that was absolutely amazing. And then my other really good cinema experience was when I got to see a little movie called G.I. Joe Retaliation.
What?
Oh yes.
In the biggest cinema screen in Africa, with these two bad boys.
Oh shit!
First time you met Paul as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Stephen flew me up to Johannesburg, especially. It was my first time in Joburg properly. And we saw the movie. We recorded it. It's a very early episode of G.I. Joburg.
21, I think.
Round about there. Round about there.
You reminded me of something when you mentioned the fact that you immediately bought a second ticket and went back in to watch Inception. But I remember a time when you and I watched, at the behest of a work colleague of mine, we went to watch a Stephen Sondheim musical adaptation called Into the Woods. Oh, yes. We hated it so much that immediately after it ended, we ducked into a screening of the Brad Pitt tank movie, Fury. Like, we ain't paying. We've paid for this shit movie. For free. We need to rinse our palates. So we ducked into another movie for free. And that was indeed a palate cleanser. But guys, carry on.
No, it made them whole night a lot better.
I've got such a cool picture of that of you and Steve from that night, actually, Rob.
Hopefully
I can find it quickly enough to give Stephen for the edit for the YouTube.
Post it up for the socials, brother. All right. Okay. Well, you're gonna have to find it immediately, Paul, because I just shoot this episode out, man.
Yeah, you just shit it out like big
time. Just dump it out.
Language, please. All right, boys. We know the movie is potentially slated for July 23rd, but regardless of what the movie is doing, we have images of the movie toys. Oh boy, where to begin? I don't know. I'm not going to crack this one open. I think I want to hear from Scoop. Give us the scoop, Scoop.
Yeah. So from what I've seen, these are the 6-inch classified range. So they'd obviously fit in with the rest of the larger figures that are popular these days. And these 5 figures, at least I saw there were 5, look absolutely amazing.
Okay. So Rob's a fan.
Yeah, I think so, dude. I mean, 4 characters we recognize: Scarlet, Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes, and an amazing Baroness. And then apparently a new character called Akiko.
Yeah.
who's new for the movie. They look really absolutely incredible.
She's gonna
Cool
die.
accessories. Spoilers. Cool accessories. And I think probably for me, the best figure of the range is Baroness.
Hell yeah.
She looks absolutely incredible. Removable glasses, her gun, everything's removable. She's got like 2 blades on her back. It's a really cool update to a character that we all know and love. Hell yeah.
Hell
What do
yeah.
you think, Paul? What are these figures doing it for you?
Yes and no.
Oh,
Okay.
shit.
Yeah. So listen, I think the toys are great. I think they've kicked the door down a little bit, and that it's like, wow, it's really like they're good quality toys. I think the one I'm a little bit upset about is Storm Shadow, and I'll get into more of that just a little bit later. But I think in general these toys are good, and what I'm really liking so far is the actual design of everything. So I think everything's well designed. So it gives me a lot of it excites me for the movie. I'm very amped to see these guys in the movie, especially if they look like that because I think their gear is handled really, really well. I think the toys look good. There's definitely some stuff happening with Snake Eyes that is a little bit more interesting, I think, than the previous classified Snake Eyes, at least for me, that I'm really liking. But I'm in the same boat as you, man. I love that Baroness. So much so that I just thought I'd hit up Amazon, on the sort of whim that I might find a Baroness. And I didn't. And then I was like, damn, I can't find like a movie Baroness classified, because Amazon's an easy way for me to like sometimes get these toys because at least I know it'll get delivered to me and quite quickly and safely. And anyway, I had this idea. I was like typed in Snake Eyes Origins figures. And anyway, this figure called Mantis popped up on Amazon. And it's movie Baroness. And she's $19. And I had $30 credit on my Amazon as an Amazon gift card still. So I've actually pre-ordered that Baroness already. It's coming in October.
Oh, sweet.
That's how much I love that toy. I had to have it. Like, I know I sort of have sworn off getting some of the classified figures, but I cannot resist the power of that Baroness. It is too cool for me. Yeah. But yeah, generally very excited about these. I think they're very cool. I think if I can say one actual negative thing, and I'm not like, I think you guys might understand where I'm coming from here. I know these are the figures for the movie and all that stuff. It's just that maybe I'm just a little bit Snake Eyes out, Scarleted out, that kind of thing. So just seeing these characters again, that did dull my initial excitement, to be very honest. The reason the Baroness has got me so excited is because I couldn't get my hands on a classified Baroness. So I think this opportunity of being able to get that Baroness that is so well designed and has got short hair and looks super sexy is like happiness for me. But I'm not. But in no means am I saying that the line is bad. I just think they're great figures. They're great toys, and it's a good release. It's certainly better than the pictures we saw before. So
you like your pixie cut Baroness with a little choker. It's cute.
Big time. Yeah.
But she's got the big old Cobra sigil, which tells me that this is also going to be a Cobra Origins film as well.
Yeah, I think so.
It's going to presuppose what Rise of Cobra supposedly created. They made an entire film to usher in Cobra's origin. And I know these are disconnected universes, but the fact that Baroness has that Cobra symbol tells me that, like, Cobra's going to be a thing in this movie. It's not going to dance around the beginnings of Cobra and have like sort of like just stop short of mentioning, yes, this organization is Cobra, but like leave it hanging for a later film to pick up. Her wearing a Cobra symbol in the toy tells me that Cobra's already a thing, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And another observation that I've just made is, since Baroness is the only one that comes with an actual firearm out of this initial lineup of figures, it tells me that maybe this is kind of tastefully low-key, that like it's not like every character has access to a massive arsenal of like Marduces and twin Colt 45s and like Uzis, and Snake Eyes has swords and blades and stuff, like martial arts weapons that he no doubt would have had during his Oroshikage training. Storm Shadow similarly, swords. Akiko, swords. okay, Scarlet's got her crossbow, which is her. It fulfills two functions. It is her classic weapon, but it also stops short of her having a full arsenal of like M16s, bombs. Like she's not necessarily super hardcore GI Joe trooper. Access to world-ending artillery pieces at this point. So maybe this is kind of, as we like to say, closer to the streets, a more personal story, less like waging war across the globe, and more like, low key. And I'm down for that.
Yeah,
more of a character piece.
Yeah, more intimate. Yeah.
It's definitely a great opportunity for them to reboot the whole G.I. Joe universe. I think you could take this as the starting point and go from here. Kind of like ignore the two previous films. Like those came out however many years ago. This is the start. G.I. Joe Origins, Snake Eyes. Then you can go forward and actually redo stuff and do it better, make it more realistic, hopefully.
But I mean, also if you take, sorry, man.
Oh no, I was going to say. So if I'm understanding correctly, these figures aren't easy to get. They're a pain to get.
They're classified, yes, so far.
So classified line, because I don't follow the toy news about the 7-inch figures that much. Are they more difficult to get than like the ones in Target or anywhere else?
No, so pretty much the Target exclusives are, there's a few that are Target exclusives, and most notably Troop Builders. And so because of that, they're harder to get. And it also seems like a lot of your retailers in America aren't restocking them properly. And then there's toys that you just can't get, unless you buy them from Target. So like if you're not in the States, or shame, even if you are in the States, you sometimes have to rely on a reseller, on a scalper or something like that, or a friend or something to get them for you. So that's something about this line that I feel reinvigorates the scale of G.I. Joe for me a little bit, is that I feel like this is going to be much easier to attain. And we might be lucky and even see them here in South Africa as an official release.
You know what you're going to likely see in South Africa, though?
Yeah,
tons of Snake Eyes.
The kitty-fied ones. They've done a parallel line at a much lower price point. Well, half price.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of those. They're terrible.
Well, at least Storm Shadow is in all white. He's blinding, which is what a lot of people's criticism of the movie classified Storm Shadow is. Paul, I got the feeling that's where you were heading when you had a kind of a reservation about Storm Shadow up front.
Yeah, I don't mind the sort of slight yellowing to him. I don't know how to explain it. It just seems very flopsy. Like that's the best way I can explain him. Like the toy of him, it just seems very flopsy. Like
you got to do better than that, man. Use your words, Paul. Come on.
Okay,
flopsy.
so
is that an art term?
It's just the best way I can sum it up. I think I feel like he has no edge, whereas the others do. And also the fact that I can immediately recognize that he's got the Red Ninja's upper thighs and he's Arctic Storm Shadow boots. Like that immediately is like, okay, well, they've reused those. So were they originally designed for him, or are they now borrowed from that? And it's like, for me, that just like irritates me because it's Storm Shadow. Like I would imagine he would have some what I would call new tooling. So I feel like firstly he's a bit of a Franken Joe, because he's reusing a lot of parts. I can't tell if those parts originated from Arctic Storm Shadow or from this movie concept design and then went on to Arctic Storm Shadow.
Look, I'm gonna hazard a guess that it probably was intentionally the movie legs first, but because the movie was delayed and then delayed again and then delayed a third time, they had to move a Storm Shadow out, and so the Arctic Storm Shadow, which was going to be a repaint effectively, was the initial Storm Shadow release. And that explains why we got this head scratcher of a Arctic Storm Shadow when, like, why not just hit it out the park first time round and give us a classic Storm Shadow? Which movie Storm Shadow is not. You know, it's interesting to see how essential the Cobra symbol is to the all-white Storm Shadow.
It just gives it that little pop.
It just ties everything together and makes this identifiable as Storm Shadow instead of just a ninja wearing white, because Storm Shadow isn't the only ninja who wears white. Like,
no,
throughout history, ninjas have donned themselves in white and pop culture.
Yeah, American Ninja.
There you go, exactly. So yeah, it is missing something, and then you don't mind the off-white coloring, I guess. A lot of people
I don't
do.
mind that. I don't mind that, but I don't mind that because on my Arctic Storm Shadow, I've done a little bit of a wash and a weathering kind of look to it to give it a bit more dirt, a bit more grime. So that doesn't bug me too much. But as somebody, I'm a smoker, and I'm always scared of my white toys getting that kind of yellowing to it.
So you just pre-yellow them.
So but when I look at this, I feel like it's a little bit sort of stained, and it's got that little bit of tobacco staining that's happening.
I can just blow the smoke right in his face, and it'll be totally
safe.
fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, my first thought was
right next to my ashtray.
My first thought was that I bought a beta Storm Shadow V1 because it was going for a song. It had no accessories, but that's fine. I just wanted a Storm Shadow that I could play with. And this one was hell of a yellow. It was like brown. So I did the hydrogen peroxide trick, and that got him to come up to like an off-white. And that's acceptable in my eyes, and even more so acceptable now that Storm Shadow is wearing off-white. It's like all of a sudden I don't look at my beta play Storm Shadow with any kind of contempt. I'm like, yeah, looks good. It looks like
movie accurate.
Yeah, movie accurate, and also like you wear an all-white uniform and you do some sneaking around, it's gonna be brown pretty quick.
But I think the biggest thing that just on that. Just while we're still on Storm Shadow quickly, I think the biggest thing that irritates me is just the head sculpt. It's not that there's anything wrong with it per se. I just don't like it. I don't like the way that they handled that slit for the eyes. I just feel like, believe it or not, I actually think the Rise of Cobra / Retaliation Storm Shadow looked better, personally. I know those are fighting words, but I think that's a much better looking.
Well, boy, it would be in line with your selection for your favorite G.I. Joe outfit to wear as a cosplay, or to wear down to the shop, as Raptor put it.
Could it be your issue with Storm Shadow, him being flopsy or floppy or whatever? Is it all the other characters?
Technical term, yeah.
All the other characters, their outfits are fairly form fitting.
Yes.
And his is more like fabric-y. It's more fabric. Yes. It kind of falls off his body. It's not actually. It doesn't form because they all seem to have like armor. Well, yes, they all seem to have like armor over the fabric. Or it's very form fitting. I think probably the least form fitting of the other four is Akiko, with her upper thighs being kind of like a fabric.
She looks great. Well.
Yeah, but she still looks good.
Fantastic. Yeah,
I think that's probably what it is. His outfit is the least streamlined.
Yeah, she looks great, but we do need to see the film. Because she looks like she could be in Rogue One, a Star Wars story. She looks like she could be in any MCU film that has a focus on martial arts. She could be anything. Like at 6-inch scale, there's nothing that screams G.I. Joe about this figure. She could be in a Marvel Legends box. She could be in a Star Wars Black Series box. I don't know. I don't have context. I need to see this film to get excited about her being in my G.I. Joe universe.
Yeah.
And we absolutely will.
Do you guys also feel like there's like a bit of an upgrade in the quality of these toys versus what you've seen and experienced with classified toys?
Ooh.
They do look better, to me at least. I mean, especially that the Scarlet looks really good.
They have to approximate something that is real. I think that's the veneer that you're seeing. The head sculpts are not some fanciful design pulled from a sculptor and an artist's imagination. Like they have gotten Henry Golding's likeness down. Like I was just examining his bearding pattern. I mean, I'm a beard guy. I can appreciate where a guy grows his follicles, and I'm like, yes, they got the little corners where his beard kind of rises on his chin. On the sides of his chin. Like, this figure's likeness is incredible. And the reason, well, the ulterior motive I have to making this point is the fact that I watched his receiving of a Snake Eyes from Hasbro, like his own action figure, and he unboxed it live. And it is wonderful seeing this man just lose his shit and absolutely gush about this toy and having his own action figure, and it's a good one. It's a good time to be an A-lister Hollywood star and have action figures made of you because the technology has actually caught up. Like the likeness is good, the action figure build is good. Like I would be just like Henry, over the moon, overjoyed to have a figure of me like that. That's super cool. And it was so wonderful seeing the star of this movie so gracious. He is a lovely, lovely individual. I do have massive props for Henry Golding, and long may his reign as Snake Eyes last. I hope this launches an entire slew of movies where he becomes the Hugh Jackman to the X-Men franchise, you know.
Yeah, that'll be very cool. And it's a stark contrast to Sienna Miller and the woman who played Scarlet, whose name I cannot remember right now, because they
what's her name?
Yeah, it is Rachel.
Rachel McAdams.
No, it's not. Not
Rachel something.
Rachel, no, whatever. Rachel Nichols. Rachel.
Yes,
that sounds right to me. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, her and Sienna Miller apparently had a whole tweet thing about laughing at their likenesses on the toys, and they actually kind of mocked it a little bit.
Well, 6-inch scale is the right scale, and 2021 is the right year to be encapsulated in plastic likeness. So it was wonderful to see his reaction. And yes, that I think is the veneer that these action figures have over the classified or the standard classified releases. They are pulling from a real, 3D flesh and bone, willed into reality subject matter.
Yeah. And that Baroness is amazing. I am so glad to see that they took that liberty with Baroness's design with the hair. I'm pretty sure a lot of fans are very upset with that. And, to each his own, because we all have different taste. I, for one, am excited to see Baroness having short hair. I really, really am.
Well, it gives her somewhere to go. I mean, because she's got a pixie cut in this movie, it really just, de-ages Baroness. It makes her a youth. Which hopefully she is in this film. And she now has somewhere to go, She will become the, straight-haired, raven-locked Baroness in later years. But right now she's probably, a student on the verge of being radicalized, gets swept up in these guys who ultimately unveil the fact that they are agents of Cobra Command. This is an exciting time to see a glimpse at how G.I. Joe and Cobra began. I hope this movie doesn't screw it up.
Dude, I just hope this is the Iron Man for Hasbro's universe. For Hasbro's G.I. Joe universe. I hope this is the thing that elevates G.I. Joe.
And I think because our expectations are set below the basement at this point. Because of our previous G.I. Joe film experiences, it's going to be like when you watched Inception, Rob. It's going to be like when you watched First Class with me, Paul. It's going to be that experience. It's going to be like, expect this to be shit. I want it to be good. Here we go.
And that's also why I'm purposefully actually not following anything about this film. I'm avoiding
shirking your duties on G.I. Joe Berg.
No, I've got to do it for my own sanity. I like knowing a little bit about a film, just a little bit. Like Ghostbusters Afterlife, I'm super amped about. I love the fact that Paul Rudd's in it. I love the little 40-second clip that they did and the little teaser trailer, but I kind of don't want to know more. I don't want to know anything else about the new Ghostbusters movie. I don't even want to look at the toys that are coming out for that movie. Because I'm excited about that. That's how I feel about this. But I got to say, this reveal has definitely got me amped for the movie. Big time.
Are there any of the kiddified figures that you'd be interested in picking up? Because I'm telling you now, guys, you're not going to get classified at retail in South Africa, but you're going to get a glut of the kiddie ones at Toys R Us.
So what we are sort of getting here, that I've noticed is we get Marvel Legends actually, right? We've got that wave that's got Falcon in it, and then the older Thor, and then there's also Captain America that's in that wave. Anyway, it's to build, and I'm sorry with my comic knowledge here, but it's the Hulk in a suit when he wears the hat. That's the one Boulder figure, and then the other Boulder figure. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But we've got those, and I've seen Silver Sable and all that kind of stuff on the shelves. And then we also get the kitty fight stuff. So here's hoping. But to answer your question, I actually like the Baroness from that line. I think she looks cool.
I was totally expecting you to say the Night Creeper.
Yeah, that's coming. The Baroness. the Baroness and the Night Creeper are winners for me, big time. I think that the Night Creeper is handled quite well. A part of me is still hoping that by some reason that these might actually be 4-inch figures, because something about them screams to me that they might actually be. It's just because of.
I think we can definitively say they're 6-inch. There have been no 4-inch reveals, as far as I can tell. But they do look it. I see what you mean, Paul. But it's because they've been simplified. You know, the articulation isn't up to classified standard. But that's the price point for you, man. There's less tooling involved, there's less parts.
But the articulation looks pretty good for an old cheap ass figure, hey? Which is impressive, actually. So let's see. Let's hold thumbs. Let's see what goes on. I just don't love Baroness's gun for that cheap release. I mean, it's got like a panther head or a snake head or something at the end of it. That's super weird.
Kind of would be in line with the standard release classified stuff. You know, she's got like her motorbike release had like a snake blaster that kind of wrapped around her arm.
That looked cool though. I thought I actually think that.
Okay.
Yeah. But this thing looks like what's it called, an RP90 or P90 or whatever that's been like cobbled together with like some kind of thing that's used in like hardcore porn at the end of it. I don't know.
Whoa.
Sorry, it's a kids-friendly movie.
Anyway, I think that design of her looks cool. I mean, and the Night Creeper looks cool. I especially love that the Night Creeper can stash his swords on his crossbow.
Bizarre, so bizarre. I mean, that crossbow is over-designed to begin with. Now it just looks like a Power Rangers weapon. It's like, combine! Do you remember where Kimberly throws her bow, and then Zach throws his like axe, it becomes a blaster, and then the Trini threw her like sai things,
and they're attached to the sides.
yeah.
And how cool is it that toy line actually let you do that when you collected all those figures? Not the 12-inch guys, the small little sort of 6-inch with the heads that flip, the sort of transformation.
Oh man, I was reminded of that when Chris McLeod received like a care package from Hasbro, and one of the sort of retro re-releases of those changey head Power Rangers was included, and like he was very gracious when he received it, but we were all thinking it that like, yeah, we gave those toys a wide berth in the 90s because
except for
even if you were you bought him. Jeez,
I bought him. The only one I did it. The only one I didn't have. No man,
drank the Kool-Aid.
I like Super Sentai stuff, and I just didn't get Billy because I
Bro,
just
but come on, that swappy head changing feature, which makes the chest of those figures enormous.
Barrel-chested.
No man, they look so crap.
They were exceptionally barrel-chested. They were as barrel-chested as a famous cover picture by a artist who recently did a Snake Eyes comic series.
Are we going to kill this like one-shot kill this? Are we going to one-shot kill this? Because we're running a little long in the tooth just on movie news, and I was thinking if we're going to talk Deadgame, we might want to devote a longer episode to that.
Okay, let's save Deadgame. I have a bunch of stuff to say. I think this is our Snake Eyes episode, our Snake Eyes movie episode.
No, okay. We've teased it. We can't back down from the precipice now. Let's do it, boys.
Let the
Snake Eyes episode.
Begin.
Let the Deadgame begin. Oh my goodness, Rob, tear this one a new asshole.
My goodness. So I've read the first 4 issues, which I believe are the ones that have come out so far. It doesn't feel like a G.I. Joe comic book. I feel like you could swap these characters out for almost any other characters. And there's like new characters introduced.
Specifically Rob Liefeld characters.
Yeah. In issue 4, there's suddenly some sort of weird meta sort of like dudes. It's really weird. Like suddenly G.I. Joe has like a metaphysical team. There's like a dude named Atomic Man, and I think issue 3 they introduce a character named
Bullet Man. Yeah, Mike Power. Look, those are the 12-inch adventure team, and then afterwards,
I was gonna say, but they also, because it's Ron Liefeld, the art is very all over the place. In issue 3, Atomic Man has a metallic right arm, and a glowing eye, kind of like Kane did in X-Force. In issue 4, he no longer has that right arm that's all metallic looking, but he still has his kind of a cable Kane eye going on. This doesn't feel like a G.I. Joe comic book to me. It feels like any other franchise. And his design for Thor, because there's Thor, the god of thunder, is in this. Not the Marvel version, but Rob Liefeld's version. He kind of looks like a character out of Youngblood, or the character with the two stupid swords that were connected together.
Shatterstar.
It's just like, I don't know what the hell this comic book is. But
I liked old Shatterstar though. Anyway,
it's cool, but I don't know what this thing is. It's an interesting story. I mean, I could almost believe it to be a cartoon episode, because the cartoons always were able to go into weird shit, metaphysical. I think there were ghosts, there was interdimensional stuff, but I don't believe this as a G.I. Joe comic book. I mean, it's entertaining for the most part.
The broad strokes of the plot is that there is a being called, I don't even remember his name, but he is crafted by the goddess of death to slay people quicker than people can be born, I think. And Thor, god of thunder, is sent to end him, to dispatch him, because his name's Kiragun. Kiragun has not only waged war on the human race, but using the dead sword, something like that. He wants the dead sword. Yeah, he wants to also slay the gods. So Thor steps in, tries to stop him. Flash forward to the present day. The new champion who Kiragun, the recently resurrected Kiragun, wants to take out is Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes finds the dead sword, loses it to Kiragun, and now Snake Eyes goes off in search for a weapon of equal metal to take out this dead sword. So he dives to the bottom of a frozen lake and finds Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, and he's off to try and slay Kiragun. And there are various cameos from the adventure team who have this enormous chunk of expository dialogue saying, like during a firefight, we're the adventure team, and we've been tasked with finding these historical oddities and artifacts and stopping mystical, magical beings and things that want to destroy our reality. Like, this is all happening in a gunfight. This guy just dumps exposition. And that, I think, is part of the problem for me when reading this. I'm like, because I'm not a comic book guy. I've stepped away from comic books for a good chunk of time, unless they're G.I. Joe comic books. And it was like being caught in a time capsule, because all of a sudden I'm like, this comic could exist alongside X-Force of the mid-90s. In style and in the fact that it is so overwritten. Oh, man, so overwritten. So
and there's
much
like a new
unnecessary
character who trains Snake Eyes as well, Olympia, who is the daughter of Kirigan, and they know each other.
It incorporates a lot of stuff, but I have some sympathy for the writer. His name is Chad Bowers. He's done a couple of interviews and guest spots on Talking Joe, and I like him. I like his insights into G.I. Joe. But, and this is not my observation, but actually Chief from Talking Joe's observation, he says that Chad has had to adopt the 90s style of writing and overwriting a comic book with lots of blocks of expository information to match Rob Liefeld's very vague storytelling style. I mean, he's just drawing him. He's just doing his thing. He's drawing characters in situations, shooting weird guns and taking weird high kicks and strange like martial arts moves with balled up fists. Like, he's doing Liefeld, and no one's going to stop him because he has his following, and he's a very energetic and popular figure, controversial figure, popular figure, whatever. He's got his market. He's a big draw, regardless. You know, he's part of that image like breakaway rebel group, like the Wunderkinds. They're a thing, and
Yeah.
so Chad Bowers has bowed to that and overwritten this story. So I'm like, wow, they still write comic books like this? This is old school, man. I'm reading a lot of stuff, and not much of it is important.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing you can say about Liefeld is he does draw every single panel and every single thing. There is no reference. There is no tracing over anything. He's literally drawing every single thing that you see in a frame, and I still appreciate that these days. So a lot of artists these days get big on tracing, on kind of like photorealistic stuff, where obviously they didn't draw that. That's more the inker or the colorist or whoever kind of fixing stuff and making it look better, and making it look more comic booky. He literally draws everything. It doesn't matter what you see in here. He's literally drawn every single thing, and I still appreciate that at least. His art is very unique, and the thing with Liefeld, it can go all over the place. There's such good stuff in some panels, but such bad stuff in other panels. Like proportions are off, or like the moves are really weird. But yeah, it doesn't feel like a G.I. Joe comic book.
Yeah,
Yes,
which is
Thor has absolutely nothing to do with Snake Eyes or G.I. Joe. None of this has anything to do with G.I. Joe at all.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing, and this is also if I can jump in, on the positive side of things, right? I think what's worth mentioning is that as far as Snake Eyes is handled, Liefeld has definitely gone out of his way to make sure he has drawn Snake Eyes to the best of his ability. And I say that because if you go through the comic book, you'll see that for the most part, Snake Eyes' proportions look great. His action shots look good. He doesn't have that typical sort of hokey pokey, flopsy wopsy-ness that Liefeld sometimes has with depth and perspective and that kind of stuff. And so it's cool to see that Snake Eyes himself, the key character in the book, is rendered well and is rendered quite solidly for the most part. I've always had a soft spot for Liefeld's style of inking, because he's got a very cool, energetic style of inking, and I really like it. I really like the way that he handles cross-hatching, and just has this line weight thing that he does that's really, really good. And it's as sexy now as it was when I first saw it back in the day. I mean, I've said this before on the show. There was a time where I did enjoy a lot of Liefeld stuff, and I purposely would look over the mistakes, almost use them as like ways to teach myself to draw better. When I looked at the way he drew the guns and stuff in the hands of Cable, etc., etc. But yeah, and that said, his actual panel layouts are fantastic. That's one thing. Like, guys can knock Liefeld all they want, but his layout style is very good. He's got very well composed panels, and the way that he just does action is very cool. Actually, he does it in a cool way. Like, I don't think it's like fair to criticize him on that. He's got that great kinetics style that goes with his stuff. Unfortunately,
Paul, I'm not going to oppose you because I don't know enough, but I've heard from comic book fundies the exact opposite. That you have no idea where these characters are in space, that the combat has no logical flow. It's disjointed, it's difficult to follow. Like, all these terms have been thrown around. So clearly the controversy surrounding Liefeld continues to follow him.
You see, I think that's the other thing. And I think it's worth mentioning here that because I don't have, like, I don't harbor any serious dislike for Liefeld, personally.
Good.
I don't
Always
have,
a good place to start. I don't hate this guy.
No, I don't hate this guy, but I also don't love him. Liefeld's just Liefeld, and I've said before in a previous episode, he's a good character designer. He's designed some damn cool-looking characters. Okay,
I get where you come from, because we all grew up in the 90s, the three of us, and he was everywhere. He was ubiquitous, and if you weren't going to be a fan of his books, then you're going to have a huge hole in your comic book lexicon.
X-Factor, X-Force,
Rob and I were weaned on that stuff. We played with those
Yeah.
action figures to death, literally.
Exactly.
We had set down G.I. Joe in favor of Rob Liefeld's cabal of characters. The way they were designed in his books were the way they were represented in plastic, and we loved that shit.
And how nice was it? How nice was it to have like a Cable action figure that was designed of Rob Liefeld's art that actually held his gun properly? You know. Anyway, but like that being said, I can understand. I sometimes feel that like critics, and I know that we have also been guilty of this in the past as well, because we have a personal bias towards things sometimes. But I also feel like some comic critics are just like, oh, it's Liefeld, prepare yourself for the suckage and all this kind of stuff. I don't think that, at least not in the first 2 books, I don't think it's fair to sort of criticize a lot of his layout style, because I think he's done a fairly good job there, actually. I do agree with those critics later on in like issue 3 and 4, where stuff does get a little bit like haphazard, like it does get a bit like nuts. There's also one scene in particular with like this big yellow guy that he fights, and the way that guy's introduced into the scene, I thought that was like really poorly done. But then at the same time, it still went forward, and now we're starting to get to the sort of dark side of this thing for me, where a big issue I have, if you're going to introduce a character, like I'm fully of the opinion that if you're going to bring a character in, the first time you see that character, make sure that character's drawn well. And then in the subsequent sort of action panels, you can get away with a little bit of lack of detail, maybe a bit of a funny eye here and there, because the chances are that the art director or your editor is not going to pick up on that is pretty high, because the introduction is so strong that's the version of the character you're seeing, and then you're sort of mentally placing that over the panels that come out after that. But Scarlet is so like you see her head and you're like, okay, that's not bad, and you see her shoulders and you see her gun. What the actual fudge bucket? Okay.
Yeah. Look, when you have the hand wave of futuristic weapon that followed guys like Cable around, fine. But when you're trying to, we all can see what he's going for. It's an attempt at an M16. The signature top handle.
Is that what it is? I thought it was a shotgun.
Look, maybe we're looking at different panels, but there's one sequence where she's got a machine gun, and whoo boy, I could draw a better M16.
But that's exactly the thing. And like we were, Stephen and I were recently on an episode with Chief, where he's talking about some of the convention art that he's got, and there's one panel there where the Baroness is holding a gun, and I just sort of made a remark on how she's holding that gun and how cool it is. And if you look at like every one of Liefeld's hands, the way he holds guns, the way he draws his characters holding guns, they're all like clenching the poor gun to death. There's no fluency, there's no life in those fingers. They're just like these hard, like they're all in the same line, all that kind of stuff.
And that's because he adds the guns afterwards.
No, of course.
Yeah.
It's the last. He doesn't draw the gun in the hand. He draws the figure, and then he just adds the gun on top of the hand or the sword. You can always see it. It doesn't look like they're actually holding them. Most of the time.
The plane of the gun does not line up with where the fist. The gun. The gun is not. Doesn't share the same vanishing point.
No.
But these are like nitpicks. These are small things.
Those are small things.
The story itself does not feel like a G.I. Joe story. What do you? The story is the story a G.I. Joe story.
I think that the comic book, firstly, I think the fact that it's 5 issues so far is impressive, to say the least, because that's the kind of comic book I would have expected to come with a G.I. Joe 2-pack, comic 2-pack. Like I feel like that story could have started and finished in one book, to be very honest. I don't think it's that engaging. I don't think the characters
it's that engaging. It's not a concept that needs to be over tons of issues, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just flat. I don't care about any of that stuff. And like as you said, it's not a G.I. Joe book. Any one of those characters could be replaced by anybody else. It could be an Iron Fist book for all we care. In fact, it probably would be a better Iron Fist book than it is. Shang-Chi? No?
Yeah, for sure. Because there's mysticism built into those characters from the start.
Exactly.
There's a certain degree of mysticism to the Oshikage, but not enough to make it believable that Thor is now talking to Snake Eyes and telling him, "You are the one who will beat Kierkegaard. Take
Snake and
my
lightning.
hammer and you will beat him." It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't feel right. I think I will read this to the end, but it seems interesting. I think Liefeld's art is his art. You either hate his art or you love his art. Yes, good layouts. I mean, he's going through this stuff really well overall. But yeah, it's not a G.I. Joe story.
Also worth mentioning, and I don't know if you guys had the same problem as I have here. I had to force myself past the second issue here. Like, I got to the second issue and I saw what was going down, and I was just like, I don't care. It's like, I'm sorry, I just don't care. And then the Action Force came in, and I'm all down with Action. Oh, sorry, the Adventure Team. Sorry, and I'm all down with like that's cool and stuff. But geez, like no, no. I was like, no, this is super lame. Also, I've just recently read G.I. Joe vs. Transformers 2, and that was done by Devil's Due back in the day, and they also have Joe Colton in there, like that's been captured again. So I'm like, it's like it's becoming a trope, and I don't dig it, and like it irritates me. It was hard.
Let's move on.
Let's
move on, boys.
I've been positive where I could be. Yeah.
Let's tear open Postbox the Pit. Rob, you done clicking that mouse, brother?
Yes, I'm finished.
Wonderful, thank you. We have a recording. This time it's from Law. Hey! Just remember, if you want to include a recording and have it voiced on the show, you can send it in email form to arealsouthafricanhero@gmail.com. This one comes to us from, it's our regular contributor, Mr. Troy Smith. I see he's in the chats. But he's managed to get Law on record saying this.
Hello, G.I. Joe Berg. It's me, Law. You know, G.I. Joe is the best of the best of the best, but every once in a while, even the best of the best of the best gets in a little bit of trouble. Which G.I. Joe do you think causes me the most headache? And you know what? Shipwreck is not an answer. He's already locked up right now.
Ooh. Hey! Well, thank you very much, Law. I mean, it's seldom we get to really get to grips with the guy's function. I mean, he's military police, right? So he's going to be dealing with G.I. Joes when they get a little bit loose and misbehave, which I'm sure must happen. I mean, G.I. Joe is a very varied cast of different types of personalities, and I'm sure, look, I'm going to go with the low-hanging fruit of probably Leatherneck and Wetsuit. If their conflict ever escalated to actual fisticuffs, it'd be up to Law to break them up and put them in a brig to cool off, I reckon. But that's just the first, that's the knee jerk that I have to this topic. What about you guys? Rob?
I reckon if the Renegades had to be on base, they'd probably be a bit tough to handle, considering they're not... I mean, they're honorary G.I. Joes, essentially, but they're not, like, military trained. Renegades. I mean, they're almost like the dreadnoughts of the G.I. Joes. So they're probably going to be a tough crew to kind of, like, keep in line while on base.
And I think that's also why, to a large degree, they are Slaughter's problem.
Yeah, and maybe Barbecue, because he likes to throw parties.
Actually,
gotta keep it down early in the morning.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's actually a really good one, Rob. Barbecue, because man, he probably throws a lot of parties, and he probably gets a lot of guys into shit. Like, have you guys seen Stripes before? That Ivan Reitman film, or Ivan Reitman, Harold Ramis film?
Possibly.
Whoops. I know it's been referenced before. I need to. It's a gap in my education.
Watch that movie. It's so great. And a friend of mine in the military, not Bart, he actually said if there's one thing that reminds him of the military the most, it's Stripes, because of how it is. But I can imagine Barbecue kind of being a little bit like Bill Murray in that respect. Like, I think he does some seeds of discontent. every now
Well,
and
he
then.
might be a little bit on the board side. I mean, if his
Yeah.
only function on the G.I. Joe team is as fire control, unless there's a fire burning something down, he's got a lot of time on his hands to throw parties.
He's a fire stopper, twisted
I
fire
don't
stopper.
see him grabbing a rifle and becoming an infantryman. Like, his job is to be on constant standby and on alerts, like probably on the flag or a TTBP. Like, if a fire breaks out, he's your man. So he's always
Otherwise, he's sneaking booze onto base and having crazy parties.
totally. Yeah, man, we're getting some love in the comments. Tunnel Rat is a suggestion from MCDJ ACDC. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, Tunnel Rat's been kind of drummed up to be a very much quirkier character than I think Larry Hama originally penned him. And a lot of that's got to do with Sigma 6. And then I think Renegades as well. Yep. So
That would probably be Airtight. Airtight is a practical joker as well. He'd probably be a really good choice too.
That was who I was going to suggest. I was going to say, like, Airtight, I think, is also somebody who causes a lot of trouble. Like, I think he's the kind of guy that, like, he also kind of gets a bit bored on base. And because he's already listed as a practical joker, I think sometimes these jokes do go far and maybe go too far to the point of, like, threatening base security kind of thing. Or actually just to the point of, like, annoying people to the point where, like, Hawk is like, hello, Law. Yeah, Airtight. Yeah, just make something up. Thank you. Kind of like
spinning out of this topic, I'm all of a sudden wondering, like, because you expect most of the Joes to be A-type personalities up at dawn for PT, but because it's such a varied roster, surely a few of them are a little bit more close to human being and have vices. Like, of the Joes, who's likeliest to be able to take his drink? I mean, like, who likes a bit of grog and sometimes gets a bit carried away? I mean, once again, the easy target is Shipwreck, but beyond that, like, who do you think are his drinking buddies?
I think Bazooka, totally.
Yeah,
I think Bazooka.
Yeah, he's probably a big beer drinker. I can imagine he's got a cask.
I'm sure he's got that exact same helmet, but the beer version.
With the cans on either side. Yeah. Brilliant. Wearing his football jersey.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe rock and roll as well.
Oh,
dude. Yeah, dude. Totally.
I think rock and roll. I think rock and roll and Stalker go and smoke a bit of guai every now and then, actually.
I wanted to stop short of actually talking about the green stuff, but yeah, I suppose likely. I imagine, like, Chuckles, because he's so far past, like, in deep cover, he's had to do a lot of questionable things, and I think maybe to kind of unwind and get his demons off his shoulders, he probably likes a bit of hard tack from now and then.
Footloose.
Troy says topside.
Yeah, Footloose is also a good suggestion, I think. Gung Ho from Andrew.
Dude, don't you think, like...
anyone in the Navy.
Don't you guys think, like, Chuckles would be in a situation where he might actually speak to Law and be like, do you actually have any open cells? And this might sound crazy, but maybe because Chuckles is so used to being in situations where he's not sleeping in a comfortable bed, or he is, like, in a prison somewhere that, like, maybe he feels comfortable in a cell.
He's that messed up.
Oh man, we're drumming Chuckles up to be anything but a happy soul. It's quite possible. Yeah. He's got some issues to work through, some PTSD. Definitely, he's seen some stuff.
And I also think somebody who can get quite unruly is actually Scarlet.
No, really?
No, yeah, because you see, Scarlet is very, like, top of her class, so she's very... I'm sure Scarlet can be very outspoken in a lot of ways on protocol and things like that. I'm sure, because remember,
she breaks that. Yeah, dude, she gets loose, man. She gets messy drunk.
Yeah, but not even...
kind of flies in the face of her extreme, like, focus. Like she, as a female, as the first female of the GI Joe team, she had to be like better than the best of the best.
Yeah.
So
like
maybe she gives herself a congratulatory drink every now and then, and everyone else on the team kind of like they have like a knowing glance at one another, like, oh, here we go.
here goes Scarlet, you know. But like
it's 5 drink Scarlet. It's 6 drink Scarlet. It's 7 drink Scarlet.
it's to kill a Scarlet Bird. You know, no, but like the thing with Scarlet is that, you know, like you said, she's one of the first women in the team.
I didn't say one of the first.
Well, you know, but she
first.
Well, technically, Shooter is the other one, but we won't go there.
It's some revisionist crap, Paul. Come on.
No, but like they did actually do their research to make sure Shooter fit there. But anyway, it doesn't matter. As a woman in the military,
like a Caucasian male, not a Latinx female.
Well, anyway, let's not even go there. Main thing is like she is.
If I'm remembering correctly, maybe it's just got General Flagg's hand or something, or General Austin's hand, or the operator's hand covering it up, and just says Shooter. Yeah, I think that's probably what it was. Anyway,
well, the thing is, she's a woman in a specialized military team, and this is in the 80s and things like that. She is also trying to be seen as a soldier, not just being seen as a woman. And so she's going to do things like, you know, like having drinking competitions with the other Joes and things like that. She's going to do that kind of stuff. And the reference that I have with this is, if you look at in Indiana Jones, if you look at Ravenwood, what's her name? I can never remember. I think it's Marion. Ravenwood. When we meet her again, she's like, also she's kicking back drinks because that's her like being like tough, like she's badass. She can drink like all these big like dudes under the table kind of thing. And I imagine Scarlet has that sort of thing to her, definitely. And also like I also think Law sometimes.
I think it's the other way around. I think Scarlet becomes a Georgia Peach when she's she becomes really coquettish and a different person when she's under the influence. I think maybe Lady J is the kind of chick who can really knock him back, or a tanker like CoverGirl. Come on.
But also remember,
contradiction in terms.
But Scarlet also has brothers as well, so that's a thing here. Like I know a lot of in my personal experience, a lot of girls that I know who have older brothers, when they go out, like she can get properly wasted, and they've got her back. They'll protect her like no problem. So she's got that drinking experience. Like you get what I'm saying? Like she's got that
topic. Gaz in the comments has a great one, and I think we can all agree that just based on the look alone, Tallbooth looks like a guy who, when it's after hours, he clocks off. Bam, he's a union man. He's in the pub. Bam.
Yeah, it's probably called Yo Joe's or something, or you know, Joe's Yo's or something. I don't know, whatever. But yeah,
a little bit of business I'd like to just quickly sandwich in before we head out, boys. On our episode 191, I wanted to know why there was no quest for revenge in the death of the Softmaster. Why didn't Storm Shadow take that up as a must to track down the killer? Magnus Lauglow gave me a great response, and one that I think I'm gonna corner Word Burglar, who gave me the idea in the first place of like hunting down the Softmaster's killer, and I'm gonna tell him that the Softmaster's death happened in combat. It wasn't an assassination. So, you know, it would be as arbitrary as like trying to hunt down the person who killed your war buddy in Nam. It's like, it's irrelevant. It's just someone who was on the opposite side who let fly a rocket and killed your uncle. So tracking down the exact killer becomes, you know, it's why it's just a casualty of war kind of situation. Anyways, that's what I got from Magnus's comments, and I thank you. That's actually bang on. And 1,000 GI Joe book points to Photo Viper. Well done, bro. He guessed it. It was indeed Scrap Iron who blew the Softmaster to smithereens. And Billy and Candy.
Yeah, well. Damn.
It's almost as explosive as a drinking contest between Lady J and CoverGirl.
Boys, I'm done. I'm spent. I am snake-eyed out. We managed to get through Liefeld as well. I'm impressed. Good
And then
episode.
just, I'd say, and then I just wanted to just quickly, because I think it's worth mentioning, like I warned us in the beginning of the episode,
Uh-oh.
there's awesome G.I. Joe toys and everything abound, and it's really, really great. But I got to say that the Transformers announcements were pretty amazing too. It's so cool to finally have an arc. Yeah, it's awesome that they're doing an arc, and I can't believe how well they've done tracks. That was a surprise. I didn't see that toy coming at all, and he's so great. He's almost as good as the Masterpiece tracks. And Scorponok, finally, a cool looking Scorponok. I just wanted to put that out there. Those are just some of the Transformers announcements. If you guys are also Transformers fans, I'm sure you've seen them already. Just know that I'm just as excited about it as you guys are. And then also just a small reminder, we have this little thing called merchandise that we do. It's on our Teespring. You can get some really, really cool G.I. Joe Berg, the merchandise t-shirts. And sadly, our Renegades t-shirt is now sold out, but that's not a bad thing, because if you manage to get it in time, then you got a really cool limited edition t-shirt, and it means that something else is around the corner. Dun, dun, dun. And if you dig our merch, but you really dig our show and want to support us, go and check out our Patreon, and you can join the Berg Force for as little as $3. Magic. And then you too can be part of this live audience that we have here. But you actually just
Thanks for joining us,
really
guys.
awesome. But yeah, thank you so much. And thank you to all of our live audience members. You guys rock. Love you guys.
Absolutely.
Keeping it lively, keeping us on our toes. Much appreciated, gentlemen, for joining us once again on this very festive episode 193, A Whole Lot of Snake Eyes. I said it before at the top of the episode, I'll say it again. Contrary to what naysayers might have to say about the movie, the casting, the toys, whatever, it's a good time to be a G.I. Joe fan again. And I'm thrilled. So, yo Joburg, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Yo Joburg, yeah.
Catch you next week.
Heck yeah. Anything can happen. We actually managed to get through an episode without mentioning He-Man. Hell yeah.
Hey.
Yes, guys.
Laters.
Laters.